All right, it looks like we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our third episode of KC Reacts. I'm Kevin Hammer,
I'm Chris Barrett.
and we're happy to have you with us this evening. So, this train's going to be an interesting one because in Worcester, Massachusetts, recently they had a city council meeting that was just absolutely bizarre and just full of the crazy. And then shortly after, they voted to make Worcester, Massachusetts a trans sanctuary city. And we know how we feel about those, right, Chris?
Yeah, I have some experience with that here in Kansas City.
Yeah, I know you do, which we will go over eventually. We will definitely cover it because, Chris, I know you have experienced all the ins, the outs, the absolute insanity that there is to experience when it comes to that. So we will definitely cover that one day because I know you got the stories there, and we'll also have the video footage as well. So with that in mind, we're going to move forward. So these individuals, there were a number of them, and they were all over the place when it comes to their crazy. We're going to start light, we're going to start small, and we're going to work our way up to some of the big ones that y'all have seen circulate on social media. But first, well, let's just dive right in. Here's our first speaker at the city council meeting that took place in Worcester, Massachusetts. All right.
Let's go.
My name is Abby Mortellero. I use she/her pronouns. I'm a resident of Worcester, Massachusetts. I'm here to speak in favor of 10B, 10J, and 14B. I speak as both the B and the T in the LGBT. I speak as someone who is always misgendered, like all the time. People refer to me as sir when I prefer to be referred to as ma'am. I speak as someone who is afraid to use public toilets. I speak as someone who is a member of this community and is a queer person. I speak in favor of my city becoming a sanctuary city for people like me.
All right, Chris, have at it first, because that is beyond entertaining.
Yeah, so I wonder why you're misgendered. You're called a man because that's what you are. And it's very clear that that's what you are. I mean, you know, we've had our back and forth on the people who at least attempt to pass. I mean, this idiot is not even attempting to pass. That was the very first thing that came to my mind. I'm just like, and you're afraid to use public restrooms? Good. You should be afraid, because if you're going into women's restrooms looking like you do, then you're a sick individual.
Well, well, Chris, what do you mean he's not a woman? I
Right.
mean, his name's Missy. Hi,
Right.
I'm
I
Missy.
mean that
No.
that 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 voice alone. It's like, oh my gosh. I mean, and don't get me wrong, guys. For anyone out there who is listening, I don't agree with any man, even how well they pass going into a women's restroom. But this one in particular is exactly problematic. And I do find it funny. He said that he's a part of the B and the T. Well, as you and I know, that the B's and the T's, especially the straight T's, but you get some overlap with the B's as well. They're AGPs, and for those who don't know, they're autogynephiles. They're dudes that get off on seeing themselves as women, and I have no doubt that that's what kind of pervert that we're dealing with here.
And Chris, my take on this. First of all, I already made fun of it a little bit. That deep voice. I just love it. It just that video that went viral at the GameStop years ago, right? it's ma'am. That's all that comes to mind, even with this individual here. And of course, he's claiming, obviously as you said, the B and the T, which you got to get that. That's what we're talking about. Those are the victimhood points. You got to get that quota. The more points you got, the longer you stay in the game. When you're going back and forth, the oppression Olympics. When you're in those oppression Olympics, you got more points. And this gentleman right here, he's got the the B and the T, and to me the M, which stands for mental illness. But hey, that's just my personal interpretation. Now, you also notice, though, obviously talks about the public toilets. Absolutely, you should not be. This guy wants to talk about him being afraid to use public toilets. What about all the women and young girls who are afraid to use toilets right now? What about them? Which is followed up by, of course, he ends it with me, I. It's a very narcissistic, absolutely self-centered, selfish ideology that we're dealing with here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll talk about it more. I'm making a note about it right now. Something that I witnessed at a Missouri Senate committee hearing that I was at, last week, because it was kind of a interesting point that probably goes along with this.
Well, our next video from the Worcester City Council meeting is just full of glitter. So here we go. I hope you're ready to be fabulous.
Laddie LaRouge, he, they, in drag, District 3. Testimony for weeks, and I want you to know that I do not want to be here. It's my day off. I do not want to be in your DMs. I do not want to be in your email inboxes. I do not want my creativity writing diss tracks like Kendrick. I don't want to spend an hour applying glitter on my face so that you will hear and see me. I want you to listen to me because it's my responsibility to stand up for these folks and for myself as a loud and proud queer artist in the city, as a drag parent, as a burlesque historian who knows that history is repeating itself, censorship and slashing of our...
All right. Now, Chris, she's making it clear she doesn't want to be there. Do you believe that she doesn't want to be there?
Well, she's putting on a good show, obviously as a performer, and that was the thing that came to mind to me when I first saw this video. I was like, well, yeah, you're obviously a performer. You are putting on a performance here, and I love how she comes trying to look like she's maybe a guy or something like that, So I'm guessing she's like a drag king or something like that. Fine, I have no problem with that. If that's what you want to do, go right ahead and do it. But the her her notion that this is like somehow like painting her to be there is very clearly like just not true. I mean, when I've done public speaking in the past, and I was really truly speaking from the heart, it was actually hard for me at first. I have an acting background. I was used to reading other people's words and making them come to life. But when I am sitting there speaking from the heart and my own words, it actually makes me quite nervous. And to do that because I'm making myself vulnerable. She's just putting on a performance.
Oh, absolutely. And I quickly do want to jump to the comments quick on Facebook. We got some comments. Pamela, in reference to our last individual there, said, I wouldn't want him in a men's bathroom with my sons even. So, I mean...
if he's an AGP, no, he's a pervert.
Oh, and John Roberts, thank you. John Roberts saying inspirational. Well, I don't know about that, but we do try to get the word out. So, I mean, my take with this woman right here is it's clear she loves that she's there. She loves that she is there. She has the glitter herself. She's not upset that she had to take the time to cover herself in glitter. She is excited and she is thrilled to be putting this show on. Now, when you deal with activism in general, especially on the left, but it exists on the right too, but especially on the left, especially this day and age, there are those that just seek the spotlight, right? This woman is not upset that she has to be there, that she had to put on glitter. No one forced you to put on glitter, honey. You made that decision yourself.
And whatever weird makeup she has on.
I know,
too.
whatever that is, because what she identify as again? Oh yeah, it's he, they. All right, and you're not upset that it's your day off. You probably took that day off. I'm gonna be honest. You probably did. Let's be honest. In 1 hour applying glitter, really? And then, of course, she says that she is a drag parent. Now, the only part of this video that I actually believe 100% is when she said that she wants them to listen to her. I absolutely believe that. That is the only believable part of her speech that she gave, of her rant that she gave, is that she wants someone to listen to her. That is the only thing I believe is of any actual validity there in what she had to say.
Well,
So,
I will say she's clearly not a gay man, because I can do makeup and it does not take me an hour to do it. So she obviously has work to do.
well, I mean, you got it. I mean, she's a lesbian after all. Give her some sweet time and credit. All right, Chris, stop being cruel. All right, so with that, we're gonna go to one of the clips that is very well known. Our blue-haired individual, right? This
Mhm.
one went viral. She is probably the best known individual from this city council meeting, and I actually included an extended clip from her just because I wanted to really show how far out there this individual actually is. So, without further ado, here we go. And here is our blue-haired individual at the Worcester City Council meeting.
What's your name and city residence?
Hello. My name in drag is Dee Dee Delight. And my name out of drag is Dewey Cosgrove Atienza. And I've been living in Worcester my whole life as well. And man, I didn't know I was trans my whole life. Man, it's a weird experience hiding that I dress as a man at home, then hiding that I got redressed as a woman upstairs, and then hiding that to come to city council because I don't want my parents to know that I have to argue for both those things. And I'm multiply disabled. I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a connective tissue disorder that causes me immense physical pain. I'm on the autism spectrum. And I have narcolepsy, and I couldn't drive myself here. So I had to hide from my driver that I was in drag, which is, I need the city to protect me because no one else will. And I need the city to protect me because the federal government won't. And if you think you're afraid of Trump, you should see how afraid of Trump I am.
Can you wrap up, please?
Yes, I can. If you say that you're afraid of Trump and that's why you don't want the city to be a safe space for trans people, you better prepare for trans people to make this a very unsafe space. Yeah.
All right. So, Chris. Clearly, we can tell that from your hat, you're one of those individuals who's very much afraid of Trump. But
terribly afraid of Trump.
This individual, she had a grocery list of issues. I'm gonna throw it to you first, Chris. What's your take on this?
Well, the first thing that I thought was interesting is that she brought up this laundry list of medical conditions and stuff like that, and maybe they are very real. I mean, and that's terrible. I mean, anyone going through that sort of stuff. I mean, my heart goes out to her in that sense, but I don't understand. And I've heard this shit before. Excuse my language, folks, but I have heard this shit before where you'll see one of these people who say they're trans, and then they'll talk about like all the other medical conditions they have.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what do those medical conditions have to do with you being trans? I mean, my God, I had cancer. I deal with
It wasn't gay
panic dis-
cancer. It wasn't gay cancer?
It was a specific gay cancer. Yes, for sure.
All
It
right.
was gay cancer. And you know, it affected my butt. I know, I'm being naughty. Guys, that was just a joke. That's not true. It was a weird form of skin cancer. But anyway, so I had cancer, and you know, I have panic disorder and all that type of stuff, and I would have never attributed any of that stuff to having anything to do with me being homosexual. But it is like
Hmm.
so weird that these trans people like to come up to the podium and they'll be like, I'm trans, and I also have this 50 million item list of everything else that's wrong with me, you know. And it's like, well, I don't know. I mean, I just don't know how to take it. I'm like, I don't know. Is that your problem? You just have so much shit that's wrong with you, you know, that you're believing this stuff about yourself. I mean, I really don't know, but I just, it kind of ticks me off that they like to use medical diagnoses as a, you know, some sort of excuse for being trans, because that's how it comes across to me.
Yeah, and to be honest, I mean, so here's where I believe that stems from the fact that they don't just come up and say I'm trans and do the even the pronouns. They come up and say, well, I have this condition, I have autism, which is actually increasingly common. Many times, increasingly, we are seeing that with individuals who identify as trans, especially youthful individuals, which this woman appears to be. That they also say that they have autism as well. And what's my take on this is it's part of this need to have the ever growing, ever encompassing, and all consuming umbrella, right? I think that's how they grow. That's how they infiltrate, right? I mean, we've seen so many things, you know, included under the alphabet soup, right? Under the LGBTQIA plus blah 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 blah, right? We've seen intersex, which is actually a medical condition. We have not seen sanity in this in, well, probably forever. It's just that is what they do. It goes to the Borg theory that I once discussed, where it's you know, we are the Borg. The resistance is futile. You know, they're out to assimilate. You will join our collective. And I feel that's why they always throw all these other terms and terminology into it, is because they need that umbrella to be as big as possible. And that especially is true when it comes to mental illness. Oh, Small Block on YouTube says, evening, gents. Well, good evening, sir. Glad to have you here. And of course, Pamela and Adam, thank you for being with us on Facebook. And speaking of that ever growing umbrella, we are seeing this consume community leaders, right? Especially individuals who claim to be of faith. This next individual claims to be a pastor. She claims to be a pastor. And let's just watch it, because I will admit I found this video particularly grotesque. And I can understand why many religious people are just beyond repulsed by all this. Just let's just watch it. It's disturbing.
Good evening. My name is Pastor Julie Payne Britton. I use the pronouns she and her, and I am disabled cisgender lesbian. My wife and I moved here 2.5 years ago, and we live in West Tatnick in Worcester. I am also the associate pastor of Hadwin Park Congregational Church in Worcester, which is an open and affirming UCC church. I am here, people here. That Jesus I know would be dressed in full drag and serving face. Or handsome as a trans man. Or wrapped in the garb of a non-binary person who knows one gender is way too small to capture their gloriousness. The Jesus I know would be at this mic with a trembling voice and a shaking body and tears that will not be held back, crying, "Make this city safe for my child."
Can you wrap up, please?
In the name of Jesus, I thank you.
All right. That was That was a lot.
Blasphemy 101.
That was blasphemy beyond all compare, but I even had to crack my knuckles with that. Chris, I know you're Jewish, but so let me put this. If a rabbi had this personality, would you follow this individual in faith?
No, because I mean it's completely inaccurate. I mean it's biblically inaccurate. I mean there's like even looking at the Talmud, I can't think of anything that comes to mind that would even back this up. You know, but but even from a Christian perspective, looking at it, it's like from any understanding of Christianity that I have, I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't see where you're coming from. I mean, Jesus was definitely a man, and he was a strong man, so not the sort of weak-kneed, flimsy fairy that she's talking about, you know. So I mean, Jesus Christ was, went up against the system, and for someone like that to even suggest that if he was there testifying that he'd be shaking and trembling, it's like that right there alone tells me that she's not a real Christian at all, because she doesn't even understand the person that she claims to be her savior. So it's like, I and here I am, I'm a Jew saying this. So I mean, the I think that should say something right there.
So yeah, let's so let's just recap this individual. Of course, she starts off, of course, with her pronouns, all right, and then identifies herself as a disabled cisgender lesbian. So you got to get as many oppression points as possible in.
Oh, it's like the last one. We
Had
have
to
to
do
talk
that
about
first,
what's
right?
wrong with us. Right.
Then proceeds to talk about her Jesus, right? Her Jesus, of course. And her Jesus apparently is a drag queen, dresses non-binary, and is a trans man. Now, I would love, I doubt, I know I'll never get this opportunity, but I'd love to ask this individual where they get any of that from the Bible, even a speck of it, right? This is beyond blasphemy. This is disgusting, and it's just the fact, though, to me, that this city council listened to all these nutters, right? All these nutters, and then proceeded to vote in favor of making Worcester, Massachusetts, a quote unquote trans sanctuary, right? I'll admit it confounds me, but seriously, how this woman believes that she is in any way representing Jesus when she's clearly just representing herself and her own agenda, I will admit is absolutely 100% beyond me. In the comments, Small Block said she wouldn't discuss it with you. She'd call you names instead. You're right, she would. That would be her Christ-like. She'd probably just flip out on me, and she'd show me her disability right up front. Also, Vinny, welcome to the stream. It's good to have you on. All right. So with that, we're gonna move forward from trans and drag Jesus, which I'm sure we'll recap, and we're gonna move on to other so-called leaders of the community. Our next three clips deal with individuals who are in the education system from one degree to another. And this is honestly just absolutely heartbreaking for me personally. So let's just jump right in. Here's our first educator who spoke at this city council meeting.
My name is Kirsten Frazier. I am a resident of Worcester, and I'm also an educator of students at North High. I teach students who are multilingual. English is a new language. Mayor Petty, you told me on Thursday last week that you were listening. You remembered how many children I have and that two of them are trans.
All right, yeah, I kept that a brief clip because trust me, we got two other nutters to go. Chris, I'll let you take it first. What's your response to this brief clip?
Well, just briefly, I mean, as soon as Okay, first of all, the purple hair. Okay, that's already a dead giveaway that there's something wrong with this individual. I mean, I'm not saying that, having brightly colored hair is necessarily wrong, but I tried to reclaim it. So some of you may see some YouTube videos and stuff like that of me with very bright red hair and all that type of stuff. But generally speaking, when you see someone come up and look like this, it's kind of like, that's a dead giveaway what they are. But
Mhm.
we talk a lot about social contagion when we're dealing with trans issues. And by
Mhm.
social contagion, for you guys who don't know what it is that basically people talk each other into thinking they're trans. It's not something that organically grows out of someone. For the most part. I mean, there's maybe some exceptions, but for the most part, it doesn't really just grow out of someone. So the fact that this woman has two trans kids, I'm guessing that she is probably maybe, I don't know, a candidate for worst mother of the year because she has managed to raise two kids and poison their minds with gender
Mhm.
ideology. So that's what comes to mind to me.
Absolutely. And like I said, first to start off, well, actually, to kind of recap, go back a little bit to the our blue-haired speaker. She specifically talks about how she didn't know she was trans until her adult life. Right now, this is what we're talking about: the indoctrination. We have actually seen now social contagions are really more common among young girls and women. This is just a fact. We saw this before. There was years ago. There was that whole Tourette's thing that went viral, where suddenly all these girls across America and around the world were becoming Tourette's, and it all was traced back to a very popular TikToker who was, pretending to have Tourette's and putting it out there on video. So we know that social contagions are more common with women than they are with men. And in regards to this specific individual, it terrifies me that she is then a teacher at a high school. It
Oh yeah.
absolutely terrifies me. And she teaches kids, that speak multiple languages. So that means she's indoctrinating in several languages, not just one. And statistically speaking, the odds that this woman would have two trans children, come on now. That we got to call BS on this. We know we got to call BS on this. This right here terrifies me more than probably any of the speakers before. The speakers before disgust me, especially that woman claiming to be a pastor. As a man who full-heartedly believes in God, that woman absolutely disgusts me. But this woman right here, given the fact that she is shaping young minds, it terrifies me that this woman is in our education system to any extent. Now, we're going to even get more terrifying because this next individual is someone who has also gone viral, and trust me, oh, we got a lot to say here on her, but she is also an educator. At least she claims to be an educator. So here we go. Here is our next educator.
Hi, I'm Lena. I'm a trans woman. I live here in Worcester. I've lived here in Worcester for like half a decade now. I teach at WPI. I work at the Worcester Art Museum. I'm here in support of 10B. And I'm sorry, am I taking too long pleading for my life?
Please wrap up.
All right. So, Candy, Donna.
Please wrap up.
Oh, no, I can't talk directly to my council members
your
either.
time's up, please.
Can you look at me and tell me how many of my friends need to die before you
Please.
do anything?
Please wrap
Look
up.
at me!
Okay, we're all done here.
Fucking
Hey,
pathetic!
no, we're all done. Come on.
All right. So, Chris, what's your take on this kind and sweet sweet
Yeah, so
individual?
I've seen this before from these trainees that get up and talk, and the so-called trans women, especially. You'll find that they evidently do have enough testosterone left in their body to start acting like angry men. I'll just leave it at that.
Well, Chris, as I've said, I refer to it as they go to their default settings when they're mad, right? And as we've seen, like, and you come at me if you want, but I want you to look up the video evidence and prove me wrong. That when a quote unquote trans man, so a woman who's pretending to be a man, gets angry, the tears come out, the high pitchedness come out. But when a quote unquote trans woman, so a man pretending to be a woman, presenting as a woman, gets mad, this voice, and they will hit stuff as we just saw here. He pounded that podium, hit that podium before taking off, swearing. That was like, yeah, the T is still there, and I'm not talking trans. That is without question. And once again, it terrifies me that this individual is in any way connected to education at any level. That absolutely terrifies me. I do want to do a quick shout out to my brother Harlan, who commented on Facebook. Hey bro, it's good to hear from you. But yeah, it's absolutely insane. This is terrifying that this individual is in any way molding minds. And once again, it shows that reset to default settings when they get angry. So with that, we're going to actually listen to our last teacher. This is our last teacher. Okay, this actually is the most comical for me. So I hope you all find it as humorous as I did. This is our Grapes of Wrath. No, sorry. Anyways, here we go.
Normally I would say good evening, but through the chair I will only impart my sour grapes. My name is Dr. Rita Mukherjee. I'm an assistant professor at Worcester State University, and I am appalled. And third and finally, I invite, not in angst, not in bad faith, but in calling in a long-standing practice of intersectional politics, I invite every member through the chair of City Council to come to my queer studies classroom at Worcester State University. You are all welcome every time, but be aware that you are a guest in my house when you come. And when you come, know that there are strong queer and trans people in my classroom who will collect you with the quickness if you speak out of turn.
All right, so I mean, our Ms. Grapes of Wrath here, you know, her sour grapes. Chris, would you go to her queer studies class?
You know, I probably would, just to be a thorn in her side. Because, I mean, the thing is, what she's really saying is, you can come to my class, but if you have anything to disagree with me, you're going to be put down. So
Mm-hmm.
that was what I took away from this video. I mean, she was essentially saying, and we've seen this from the entire transgender movement, they are anti-First Amendment, 100%. You know,
Yep.
and they do not believe in free speech. You know, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's like the bullcrap stuff that we're seeing in Colorado, where there's like some law about, you know, you could be fined, I think, $1,000 and face a few days in jail for misgendering someone. You know, and so and for someone who doesn't understand, that just means that you call someone a man when they think they're a woman, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
that's all it is. And so, I mean, these people are, and specifically her, she's a tyrant, you know, and that's exactly what she is. She is like, oh, well, if you disagree with me, I'm going to shut you down. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you have no right to disagree with me, because that's exactly what she's saying. And, you know, I mean, one of the great things that I have noticed about folks on the right, we can have disagreements, and generally be okay with each other. I mean, sometimes there is some wackadoodles out there that, you know, I'm just not going to agree with, you know, who are right leaning. But, you know, but on the left, and I'm sure that's where she's coming from, because I seriously doubt she's a Republican. Uh, you know, Um,
Really?
yeah, right. So, but at least on the right, we can generally have those disagreements, but on the left, they do not allow for it at all. And she's the poster child of exactly what I'm talking about leftist tyranny.
Well, for me, Chris, I mean, what she says takes me back to our blue-haired individual, who we'll probably go back to a number of times because what was that an experience, of course, who said at the end of her speech, she said, "You better prepare for trans people to make this a very unsafe space," in in reference to the city. How is that not a threat? How I think that comes across as a threat to me. So, so there's first of all that, right? It's you better submit. You better comply with us. And this individual specifically starts off, really hitting all the bulletin points, right? What was that? The intersectional politics, right? Queer
Yes,
study,
yes.
of course, intersectional politics, and then really does sum it off with if you speak out of turn. Now, doesn't that really sum up the left this day and age? If you speak out of turn, you know what will happen. It's part of what drove me away from the left. You learn very quickly that if you have any differing opinion, well, they're going to come for you. They are going to come for you. And once again, I want to reiterate, it terrifies me that this individual right here is in our education system. This individual is shaping the minds of the future. That is terrifying. And it should terrify anyone who is watching. Absolutely. It should terrify them. All right. So this next clip. All right. It doesn't just piss me off. It doesn't just terrify me. It doesn't even anger me. This one enrages me. Because at this meeting, a 7-year-old child was brought up to speak. A 7-year-old child. I, I honestly, Chris, given especially with our backgrounds, we're both former members of Gays Against Groomers, and we have dedicated our lives to protecting children from this absolute insanity. This here is the most enraging clip, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, and
So,
I'm gonna have to try my best to keep my composure because honestly, I'm already tearing up. It just makes me so angry that someone did this to a child.
yeah. So here we have, and I did block out the child's face because I am not going to be putting this child's face out there. Here we have a 7-year-old child brought up to speak at this city council meeting.
Where are you from?
Wait, what?
Say your name, where you're from.
Oh, my name is Axel and I'm from Worcester. I've been noticing people here are trying to control the rights of others, and that's not right. We should make Worcester a sanctuary city for trans people. Everybody deserves to feel safe, and everybody needs to feel safe. I've lived here for 4 years, and there hasn't really been any changes in how people feel safe in the city. My birthday is this Saturday, and all I want is peace and for you to vote yes. Please don't let me down for my birthday. There's a lot of queer people that I love, and to Candy Carlson, you should know to never call someone I'm 7 and I know better. The kids are watching and we're ready to vote you out.
All right. I'm 7. I'm freaking 7. This boy is 7 years old. And yes, in the comments, I did notice the upside down flag. Clearly, this child is coached from beginning to end. Literally, right? The adult, the man, adjusts the mic for the child and then pushes the child into the mic to speak. I'm gonna throw it to you, Chris. What's your take on this?
The thing is, I guess why this really affects me so much emotionally, and I don't make a big deal out of this. I generally don't talk about it, but I am a child sexual abuse survivor, and to me, this is child abuse. I can't say anymore right now. I just can't.
It this is honestly all the stuff, all the clips before, right? Like I said, disturbing in their own right, aggravating in their own right. This right here is evil. This is beyond evil.
Mhm.
This is a child being put up on display. 7 years old. He even says his own age. He said, when I was 7 years old, when I was 7 years old, I was thinking about wanting to be a zoologist. I wanted to work with tigers and lions and all that stuff. I thought I could still, if I got bitten by the right spider or fell into the right radioactive material, I could become a superhero. That is what
Right.
I was thinking when I was a 7-year-old boy. This is wrong. This is child abuse, and I will absolutely stand by that. This is freaking child abuse.
Yeah, it absolutely
Unquestionable.
is. I've gained my composure a little bit better. I'm sorry, because it is very emotional for me to see a child being used this way, and it's like this shows to me how low these people are willing to go, you know, uh, and they are. I mean, they are really kind of disgusting in a way. It's like I don't want to dismiss their humanity because they're all humans, and I do care about all humans. But the thing is like, these are some really, really misguided and terrible thinking people, to bring a child up. I mean, what does that child have to do with what's going on in this? I mean, why would you say, oh, okay, well, let's bring a 7-year-old kid up to testify, to make, Worcester a, trans sanctuary city? I mean, that kid, I mean, and the other thing that like really stood out to me, and was that kid was talking about, I know plenty of queer people. I think that's how he phrased it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, no, you don't. Those were obviously words that were just fed to you because, as a 7-year-old, you don't know any queer people, because
Yeah.
and it was just, I mean, it was obviously so staged, using this poor child to make a point. And I mean, I really, really hope that enough sense will come into this country that people that do that sort of stuff to children get that child taken away from them because they don't have
Well,
any right
absolutely.
to be a parent.
I still stand firmly, and Chris, I mean, this will take us into our broader conversation that we always have following the clips, because this was our last clip that we're going to actually watch. Now we're just having a general discussion. Um, I think that it should be illegal for young children to be at protests. I don't think they should be speaking at this kind of thing. I don't care what it is, either way, right? If it's like a school event, a school assembly event, or even heck, even a school board meeting, and a child wants, I will tolerate that more. But this is a city council meeting. I don't think children should be at protests. And Chris, you and I are going to do a stream in the future of just how broad we actually both believe this and apply it. We don't just apply this to what's going on, such as, drag story hour, which is disgusting, or, exposing children to drag shows or anything like that. We're talking even taking children to like Hooters, for example, right? This is
Right.
stuff. Children are our greatest gift as a culture, and they are our most precious asset. And the fact that we allow children to be abused in such a fashion is absolutely beyond heartbreaking. Absolutely beyond heartbreaking. And Chris, I do want to say, because someone is sending you hugs in the comments. Pamela, she is sending a hug to Chris. She says she herself also has a past experiences in line with what you yourself experienced. So she just wanted you to know that she is sending you hugs.
Well, thanks, Pamela. That's very sweet. I appreciate
And
that.
Vinny, unfortunately, from what I saw of the meeting, I did not get the father's name because only those who actually speak are supposed to give their names. The father did not speak, other than when he was coaching the child, if that is his father. So the man did not speak beyond coaching the child, so was not required to give his name.
Right.
And unfortunately, there's really no focus on that adult off screen. There is a brief moment, but it's not a big focus. But yeah, this is honestly the most disgusting part, and I think part of why I wanted to do this stream, why we wanted to do this stream, is because this is all connected. It's all connected. Each individual is a symptom of something far more destructive, something far more viral, something far more damaging to our culture. Chris, what do you have to say about that?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Again, I have to kind of go back to the fact that, well, one, we were talking about the fact that we would maybe do a stream on, what's appropriate for children and not when it comes to this political stuff. And I agree with you. It's like, children shouldn't be involved at all. I mean, I have put together protests myself, and people decided to bring children, and I felt very uncomfortable with that. And especially when you're dealing with these transgender rights idiots and stuff like that, they do, they will sink to the lowest of the low, and they have no. Um, qualms about being completely inappropriate around children. I mean, we should know that. I mean, look at the books that they want to push on kids in school libraries and stuff like that. Um, but I'll never forget a protest that I went to, and or actually that I hosted, and a child was there, and this trans woman, you know, a man decided to dance around us and drop the F-bomb several times and said all sorts of horrible things while this child was there. And so obviously it was probably not a good idea for the parent to bring their child there. I certainly was not inviting any children to be there, but they decided to do it. And, um, I'll never forget the whole thing. It's like I had to go over and put my arms around this kid and hug him because he felt so threatened, and of course he did, because these people are hideous human beings. They
So,
really
Chris,
are.
I kind of want to do a timeline here, and I hope you don't. I hope you'll entertain me in this, because I want to replay a couple of the clips, because I believe this is the trend that we see. I really do. This how we got to this child being put up here like this 7-year-old. I believe, that first we are dealing with it in a spiritual sense. We are dealing with a hollowing out of the spiritual of the faith of our nation, overall. So I want people to really listen. I'm gonna replay that so-called pastor. All right, I'm gonna
Right.
replay that, right, and then keep in mind this little 7-year-old boy, and what he just said. All right. I'm going to play the pastor speaking. Then we're going to listen to the little boy again. And I just want the audience to connect these quick. All right.
Sure.
Good evening. My name is Pastor Julie Payne Britton. I use the pronoun she and her, and I am disabled, cisgender lesbian. My wife and I moved here 2.5 years ago, and we live in West Tatnick in Worcester. I am also the associate pastor of Hadwin Park Congregational Church in Worcester, which is an open and affirming UCC church. I am here, people here, that Jesus I know would be dressed in full drag and serving face.
or handsome as a trans man, or wrapped in the garb of a non-binary person who knows one gender is way too small to capture their gloriousness. The Jesus I know would be at this mic with a trembling voice and a shaking body and tears that will not be held back, crying, "Make this city safe for my child."
Can you wrap up, please?
In the name of Jesus, I thank you.
And here we get, right? Listen to what this woman has said. First of all, you know this woman in her church, right? She is definitely pushing the transitioning of children. And
Oh, for sure.
And what she's trying to create, that child that she says that Jesus wants to protect, this is what she wants. She wants that child that we saw. This is what she wants. This is what she wants done. This is what she wants children doing.
Wait, what?
Where you're from?
Oh, my name is Axel and I'm from Worcester. I've been noticing people here are trying to control the rights of others, and that's not right. We should make Worcester a sanctuary city for trans people. Everybody deserves to feel safe, and everybody needs to feel safe. I've lived here for 4 years, and there hasn't really been any changes in how people feel safe in the city. My birthday is this Saturday, and all I want is peace and for you to vote yes. Please don't let me down for my birthday. There's a lot of queer people that I love, and to Candy Carlson, you should know to never call someone it. I'm 7, and I'm...
All right. So freaking 7 years old, right? 7 years old. What? Okay, first of all, right? Lived there for 4 years. So since he was 3 years old, right? I would not be shocked if this child is going to the church that woman
Right.
is
I
a
understand, Kevin. You want to say
pastor
some nasty things
is
about her,
is
and
a
I
is a
understand
pastor
it.
at, right? This 7-year-old child, saying the term trans sanctuary city, using that terminology. What 7-year-old sanctuary? The word honestly.
I didn't know what sanctuary meant when I was 7 years old. My
And
God.
to furthermore, then keep in mind. So we're dealing with the church, right? The church, right, is influencing children in this way, and then of course, once these children are being influenced by so-called religious leaders, they then are exposed to teachers like this woman that we just watched.
My name is Kirsten Frazier. I am a resident of Worcester, and I'm also an educator of students at North High. I teach students who are multilingual. English is a new language. Mayor Petty, you told me on Thursday last week that you were listening. You remembered how many children I have and that 2 of them are trans.
Right? Her two trans children.
Yeah, tell me grooming isn't happening there. I mean, seriously. This woman groomed her children to be that way. I posted something on X today, and it was from Charlie Kirk. And it was like, if you're 18 and you think you're the opposite sex, you're mentally ill. But if you're 8 years old and you think you're the opposite sex, then your mom's mentally ill. And obviously it's not moms. Dads are definitely complicit too. But I think the point is still valid. Because it is these adults pushing this stuff on their kids. And the thing is like someone like that woman with her stupid purple hair. She probably trots around her trans kids as like some sort of badge of honor. you know it's a leftist badge of honor to have trans kids now. And it's a way that they like to look like, oh, see how cool and open-minded I am, or whatever the case may be. Kevin, I've got to give you a lot of credit for picking out the videos that you did, because I'm probably more emotional and animated over the stuff that you picked than anything that we've done so far. The thing is that this stuff definitely highlights how sick the transgender movement is. It's absolutely sick and disgusting. And I understand that some people out there may want to, feel some sort of sympathy for these people or something like that. And I do a certain amount of them myself. It just kind of depends on what their situation is. But I don't I don't want society to get too caught up in sympathy for these folks, because you have to realize that the ones that are trans, have who have totally bought into this stuff, they are completely mentally ill. And one of the things that I'd like to speak about is that when I was testifying before a Missouri Senate committee, every single trans person that got up there, every single one, because let me back up, guys. What the bill was about that we were discussing before the committee was making sure that we removed the sunset clause in Missouri's ban on child sex changes. So initially the law passed, but in 2027 it will expire. So we're trying to get rid of that expiration. So we had a ton of trans people come up and testify. And I'll tell you what, I don't think I heard any one of them actually make a true argument on behalf of kids. You know what? It was funny. The only ones who even referred to so-called trans kids were the Democrats on the committee. The
Hmm.
trans people were clearly just getting up there, saving their own asses. That's what they were doing. They didn't give a damn about kids. They didn't give one single damn about kids. And but the Democrats up there, or the woke ones, because there are definitely Democrats who disagree with this stuff too, so I don't want to put it totally on them. But the woke ones up there, they were basically coaching them from their position to actually mention a child and why this should be done for children. Because every single one of those trainees, it was very clear. They didn't get care. They didn't care
Mhm.
whatsoever. They were completely into it. And one of the saddest ones that I saw was this man who claims to be a woman, who went up there and was evidently like a former Marine or something like that. And he talked about his 5 children. Oh my God. I am so sorry for those children that they still have him as a father. Because he's an AGP. You
Oh, he
know,
probably tries to get them to call him mother.
Oh, he does. He said that. He said that he was a mother. It
That's,
was disgusting.
you know, Chris, you touched on it. You said, I will admit, all these videos, all these individuals, my heart does go out to a degree, because my heart goes out to what is broken in them. That's what my heart does on a human level.
Certainly.
Believing, that we are all children of God. They are my brothers and sisters in that. I my heart does go out to them. But there's also then the personal decisions that they are making. Vinny in the comment said in regards to the so-called pastor that she sounds like the devil. It's not just that she sounds like the devil. I truly believe those are the words of the devil. I mean, it's heartbreaking, it's disturbing, it's disgusting, and there's so much I could vent with this, because you know what infuriates me. By the way, people, there's like a 2-hour public comment section. I watched most of it. I will post the link to that. I was able to find it on YouTube, where you'll get to listen to at least most, if not all, of the individuals come up and speak. And what I was disgusted by the most was the silent ones. I really do believe that the worst people are those who stand by and watch this kind of thing unfold and do not speak up. They do not say anything. In one of the comments, I believe it was Pamela, she asked why no one on the city council spoke up about a child being there. They should have. Now, I believe there were two city council members who actually voted no to this. But the thing is, I didn't listen to the city council meeting prior or after the public, comments. So I'm not sure if they did. I'll be honest. But the fact that no one got up to speak during the public comments, really, that no one got up to aggressively speak, to defend the children, to defend the community, that disturbs me to my core. And it's consistently what angers me. When I was part of Gays Against Groomers, and even before, right, I would go and speak at city council events. I even went and spoke at a school board. And I had no problem doing it. But not even outside of my experience. When I spoke at the school board, there were a number of people there to speak for the children, to help protect the children, which I was so happy for. But I have seen far too many where no one shows up to speak for the children. My local school, well, a school that's local to me, right? I created a video not too long ago about a gay romance novel that was made available, given to a 9-year-old, I believe she was, as a homework assignment, right? And I made 2 videos about this to get out there to the local community, right? The following school board meeting, from what I heard, from what I saw, no one showed up to be enraged by this. Not even the mother who brought attention to it originally, from what I've heard so far. Now, mind you, I haven't followed up on that in a little bit, I'll be honest. But no one showed up to the immediate school board meeting to stand up for the children.
Why is any 9-year-old being given a romance novel? It doesn't
even of any kind.
Yeah, right.
And the mother expresses that as well. And the mother expresses that as well. She'd be just as pissed if this graphic, because it was a graphic novel actually. She would be just as pissed if it was a boy and a girl. You know, that her daughter was being sent home with this book to write an essay about. But it goes back to it, is that we can all, individuals such as you and myself, Chris, we could travel to different communities and speak. We can do that, right? We've done that. But at the end of the day, the people need to speak up, especially at school board meetings. The parents need to speak up. The ones who have the children in those schools, who have their children, the children they're legal guardians of, their nieces, their nephews, their grandchildren, they need to show up and speak up. And I know it's scary. I know it's terrifying that we still have a cancer culture. Even with Trump being president, we still have a bit of a cancer culture. I get that. But what is more concerning to you? What is more concerning? That you might get some backlash for this, or you could lose your child's future. Because not speaking up could cost your child their damn future. I have a 7-year-old godson. If I even got a whiff of this happening at his school, you best believe I'd be there. All right. If they had a policy where I couldn't speak because I don't live in the same town, I would still be there. I would find someone in that community who was willing to read my speech, and I would be there sitting behind them when they got up to speak. I would be invested. So as much as I'm enraged by these individuals that we've shown tonight, as much as I am sickened by them, I am also heartbroken by the fact that so many in these communities who do say that they're against it, right? They won't show up like this. They don't show up at these damn meetings, whether they are city council meetings or whether they're school board meetings. And my heart does go out to them, and I have had sympathies for them in the past. But I will admit, given especially now what we're up against with Prop 1 passing in New York State, especially, my sympathies for these individuals are on the decline, all right? They are less and less on my damn sympathies. You are afraid of being canceled, so you're willing to sacrifice your damn children. The damn children in your life that you say you love. You're willing to sacrifice them so you won't be damn canceled. I know I went off on that, but it's infuriating
No, we had different reactions. It's like I kind of broke down in tears. You got very, very angry. And it's like this stuff is very emotional to us. And it was kind of interesting. I was speaking with someone that I know here in Missouri, and he was talking about how much he appreciated people from the gay community who are willing to actually speak out against this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
because he said that a lot of you, especially when it comes to the stuff dealing with kids, he was like, a lot of you don't really have to say anything. And the thing is, like, it goes back to what you're talking about with the parents and the grandparents and aunts and uncles or whatever the case may be. It's like, if I, as a gay man who has no children, is totally invested in making sure that children are safe, then why, excuse me again, guys, my language here, but I've got to say it this way, why the fuck aren't you doing something to protect your own children if you do have them? So I have seen plenty of people who do it, but there are so many wimps and pussies out there. It just drives me crazy. They're afraid of being canceled and all that type of stuff. I mean, my God, I mean, my personal life has been basically trashed. I don't have a personal life anymore, because of the stuff that I've done. And I'm going to drive the final nail in that coffin when I run for office here in Missouri. So, the thing is, we need brave people who are willing to stand up and do the right thing. You know, don't be wimps. Don't be afraid of this stuff, because they will be intimidating. They will make you feel like, oh gosh, I shouldn't do this because I'm going to run into too many problems.
Mm-hmm.
That's their whole MO. That's exactly what they want you to feel. Don't do that to yourself. Don't
Mm-hmm.
do that to your children. And I mean, the thing with the trans sanctuary city, one of the most disappointing things that I saw is because Kansas City, Missouri tried to do did do the exact same thing, and we had a freak show of people show up as well. Same thing. There was one person who spoke against it. One. It was me. That was it. And it's like, where the hell was everybody else?
Yeah. And
I'm not trying to get down the throats of people. I understand it is scary, but you guys, we need to be brave. We need
I,
to be brave.
I gotta be honest, Chris. I've spent so much time speaking softly to try to get people out there who have expressed concern that I'm tired of speaking softly. Amberly actually makes a great comment, which my heart, I understand it. Amberly says, "Yeah, parents need to stand up for their children. I think people get busy and aren't staying involved enough sometimes. Easy to get distracted." Now, Amberly, you make several good points there, right? We live in an era where it takes that two-income household, right, to raise children, right? I get that. And not everyone can make the school board meetings and stuff. But when it does become apparent, the two videos I made to bring attention to the graphic novel that was given to a 9-year-old. So I said she was 7 or 9. Right. The two videos I made, I intentionally sent them to people who live in the city and surrounding areas. I intentionally did everything I could to parents, to get it to parents, right? And they still didn't show up. That's what's also infuriating. I get that life gets in the way. I do. And I also get that people can be twisted. So there's a county, excuse me, a senator for our county. He's actually a good friend of mine. His name is Josh. His name is Josh Cuomo. He actually voted against acknowledging Pride for the county, Schenectady Pride. Right. There was another individual who in his own party did not vote to not acknowledge. He voted for. So, he voted to acknowledge Pride. Now, this individual got some hate who voted to acknowledge Pride for the county, for Schenectady. And I understand where he was coming from, though. A lot of people, when they think of Pride, a lot of people who don't know what you and I know, Chris, who don't see all that on a regular basis, who haven't gone undercover at local prides and brought attention to all this insanity, right? They think when they're, especially if they're in an office and they're making these kind of votes or making, supporting in this fashion, they're thinking often about a loved one, right? Who might happen to be part of the quote unquote community, right? They're thinking from their heart, which I understand, but you've got to educate yourself on the reality. There's what your heart is sensitive to, and then there's the reality of the situation, what children are being exposed to. Children are being exposed to kink at Pride. They're being exposed to just horrific, graphic material in books at Pride. It's honestly just sexual displays at Pride. This is happening at Pride. On my own social media channels, I have video after video showing this, including locally where I live, right? So I guess at the end of the day, while like I said, to all these individuals, my sympathies are with them to a degree, but it's 2025, right? It's 2025. We have this culture that pushes for the indoctrination, sexualization, and medicalization of children. We have this culture on the frickin' ropes, right? We have the opportunity to deliver some knockout blows, right? So here in 2025, given where we stand, my sympathies are declining. They are not increasing, they are declining, because we are at a prime time to deliver the KO to this dangerous, evil ideology. And yet people still sit back, even when it's put right in front of them. And that is what I'm having less and less sympathy for. A great deal less and less sympathy for.
The transgender movement, Kevin, has done a really good job of instilling fear in people. And I think that that's where some of this comes from. I mean, it is amazing that um in a city of like 2.5 million people, which is Kansas City, um, that only one person was willing to stand up. And I'm not patting myself on the back. Screw me, whatever. It's just that it was amazing to me that I was the only person out of 2.5 million people who wanted to go and speak against this trans sanctuary city shit. Now, I will say, in Missouri, maybe it's different in Massachusetts or other states, but in Missouri, the trans sanctuary thing honestly doesn't, trans sanctuary city thing honestly doesn't really have any binding legal, authority of any sort. State law trumps the trumps state law uh, trumps uh any sort of city's law, and I remember even in my, state classes in even grade school and junior high and high school, it was repeatedly said that cities, at least in Missouri, exist at the pleasure of the state, which means that if a city gets too crazy, they can have their city charter revoked and they are no longer a city anymore by the state of Missouri. And there is precedence for that happening in Missouri. In fact, the city of Kansas City is not allowed to govern its own police department. The state controls the police department because there was too much political corruption in Kansas City at one point in time. So, if you do live in a state that where they do exercise that kind of authority over their cities, then encourage your representatives or senators or something like that to apply pressure on these cities. And that would, I don't know what the specific law in Massachusetts is, but to me, that would be the next step. It's like, okay, fine. Worcester decided to go insane and go along with this. Well, then go to the state level and see what you can do in order to counteract it. You know, and it's already been done in Missouri for the most part. I mean, really, when they were talking about trans sanctuary city, they were really talking about so-called trans kids. I mean, that's really what they were getting at. And anyway, I mean that stuff is illegal in the state of Missouri now anyway. And we are fighting to make sure that it stays permanent. And that's something that I'm investing some time in myself. But, I mean, at some point when these cities get kind of crazy, don't forget that you have a state government that you can probably turn to. I just want to make sure that people remember that.
Unfortunately, here in New York State, our state government is as blue can be. It's leftist as all heck. I mean, we'd love, like, trust me, we'd love for the city to go someplace to a degree. I mean, it's just, yeah. But no, that's I mean, some excellent points. Is Chris, there's always avenues to try. Some states obviously have more of an uphill battle than others. I'm in such a state here in New York. Out in California, Stacy just commented, same out here in California. It is definitely an uphill battle, of course, but it's still one worth fighting. A lot of people, and that's another thing I get. And I think a lot of people get this. Individuals such as you and myself, Chris, and even people listening right now, who speak out adamantly against this, is they get, well, it's such an uphill battle. Why bother? Right? When I ran for local office, I was told that some issues were just lost. Basically, why bother? And in my mind, I'm like, what do you mean, why bother?
What's
What
the
do
point of
you
running for office then?
what do you mean? Why bother? I mean, I was born and raised in this state. Sure, the rural country, Amish, dairy country of New York State. But I was raised in this area. My mom grew up in the mountains, right? I come, on my mom's side, it's mountain people. On my dad's side, it's small town factory people. So I grew up in this state. I love this state. Uh, I'm just gonna give it up. And what we're fighting for is so precious. It's the future. It's the future. It shouldn't matter how uphill it is. When you're fighting to protect children, it shouldn't matter how uphill the battle is. Why does that even enter your head? A lot of the work I've done through my life, when I've been an activist politically, so on and so forth, right? I've done with the full knowledge that some of the stuff might not even be accomplished within my lifetime.
Right.
But it's still worth fighting for. It's still worth the fight. I
That
will
is such a
still
great
fight.
that is such a great point, Kevin. There is some of the stuff that we will not accomplish in our lifetimes. But the reason why, even to the folks in California, or New York in your case, why it is important to go ahead and still continue fighting is because you are going to be laying the groundwork for future generations. And you're going to give them something to build on. So you may not see the fruits of your efforts. That is definitely a possibility, and it's very frustrating. And I understand it because we all like to, see ourselves win, so to speak. You know, but that's not always going to happen. We need to be laying the groundwork. And so if anything, for those of you who are in, California or Colorado, New York, Washington, Oregon, you know, uh, go ahead and keep fighting and fight hard, because the thing is, you're making sure that people who come after you will have something to build on. Because
Absolutely.
otherwise we're just reinventing the wheel over and over and over again. So get out there. Even if you're not going to win right away. And I understand, like, definitely states like New York and uh, California, I mean, it's not an uphill battle. It is kind of that so called lost cause, but it's really not. You
Hmm.
need to make sure that you're giving people something to build on in the future. And
Absolutely.
that's what's important.
And Vinny mentioned in the comments here, and we're over the hour mark. We're getting towards an hour and a half, so we'll wrap up shortly. This has been a heated one. Um,
Right.
Vinny was, yeah, I was thinking that in 10 years from now, people will watch our actions in documentaries, and you're right. And I think we have to think how will we be reflected? Not even how we want to be reflected. How will we be reflected? Will we really be seen? How will we be seen at the end of the day? And a quick side note, because I saw it mentioned in the comments, and I know it's bound is that I don't sound like New York, but I am. Amberly, I am New York. I not to go into much detail, but I did hide my accent for a long time. You'd notice that in my earlier videos. But my mother, she was raised in the mountains area, the Appalachian Mountain range of New York State, which, yes, the Appalachians go up through New York. And my mother, let me just say, just a brief quick, how she'd say my name. When my mother saw me, she'd be like, Kevin. So, and I have a cousin who sounds like Boomhauer. So we do exist in New York State. Mine's a bit thicker than most, admittedly, but I just wanted to reference that quick because I do appreciate that comment. But no, back to it is like how do we want to be perceived, but also how will we be perceived, right? And like everything I do, whenever I speak, I'm thinking of my godson, I'm thinking of my nieces and nephews, I'm thinking of my great nieces and nephews, right? I am second to the youngest out of 18 children. I have 17 siblings. I have countless nieces and nephews. I mean, it feels countless. I'm not gonna lie. I think about all of them. That is the future. I'm thinking about. I have great nieces and nephews. I just don't. At 39, I don't just have nieces and nephews. I have great nieces and nephews, and I'm thinking about them as well. I'm thinking about my great nieces and nephews. The children of my 17 siblings. They're on my mind. So, yeah, and that's the thing is, if you don't have something that you're focused on that goes beyond yourself, you need to find it. From God to help and change the world for the better, for the future generation, for the children, because I mean, I don't want to get all preachy into that because it's, in my opinion, it's an empty life to not have that. But specific to say, you got to think beyond yourself when you're doing something, especially when you're doing something like this. When you're trying to make this kind of change, you better be thinking beyond yourself. You better be thinking beyond when you're dead and in the ground or in a mausoleum or wherever you're going to be when you die. You have to think beyond that point. You should be thinking
Yes.
beyond that point. And with that, I'm going to give you the
Absolutely.
last comments, Chris, because we're going to wrap up since we're almost at an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Get this wrapped up. So, Chris, what you got to say?
This one was definitely a very emotionally charged podcast. That's for sure. But yeah, I totally agree with you, Kevin. I mean, we do need to be thinking beyond ourselves. And I just want to say, it's like I made a brief mention that I'm going to be running for office here in Missouri, and the thing is, this for me was kind of like an inspired thing from God. And not to sound like some sort of religious freak or anything like that, but I kept telling God no. I was fine with the political activism, but I didn't want to take it any further than that. And at some point, I actually kind of wanted to exit from it a little bit and just sit back and let other people take care of
Mm-hmm.
things. Like, I'd put in my time. Now it's time for other people to do their work. Um, but then, I came with into a very close near-death experience that you know about, Kevin. And it really opened my eyes, and I was like, nope, I've got to keep pushing forward, and do this. And here's the thing, guys. I'm not doing this for myself. I mean, and you really have to. I don't know. Like it's been said, it's like, yes, we're all busy. We have our own lives that we're trying to maintain and deal with, and I totally understand that. But in order for us to have a good functioning society, we do need to think beyond ourselves.
Mhm.
And so I think that is extremely important, just like Kevin said. And, I mean, that's why I'm taking things to the level that I'm taking it to, because I'm just like, yeah, I've got to continue thinking beyond my own life. And, specifically in my case, what's best for the people of Missouri. So, uh, uh, the you don't have to go to the level that I have gone to or that Kevin has gone to, but just show up to a city council meeting, show up to a school board meeting. Those are very simple things to do. I mean, it's super easy.
Mhm.
I mean, voting is definitely like the least that you can do. I mean, congratulations if you got out and voted, but there is definitely more to do in order to be a civic minded person who is concerned about the welfare of the whole, community or the state or indeed the country.
Mhm.
So, just find ways to do things. It could be even a protest or something like that. I've got one coming up this week
Yeah.
that I'm going to. So I mean, just make sure that you're active as much as possible, and I'll shut up.
Yeah, it's nah, because we definitely could keep going, but I do want to add the two things on to that, Chris, that people can also just share stuff behind the scenes. Message everyone in your life. You see something crazy, confirm it though. I do encourage people to confirm stuff. If you hear that a school has, allowed children to be exposed to something, confirm it. Right, confirm it, but then share it, even behind the scenes. Share this stream, share posts, share. Libs of TikTok has a lot of content, right? I mean, content that far, expands beyond us, far reaches us. So share that. It takes a couple moments, right? I mean, it really does just take a couple moments to get the word out there and to make the change happen that you want to see in the world. Um, so, and before we go, I do. Amberly quickly commented. Plus, to be honest, it's healthy to meet up and exchange information with like-minded, good individuals. Absolutely, I'm going to promote that more and more, especially the meetup, because we live in a world more and more where we are isolating ourselves, and I don't think that's healthy in general. We get caught in echo chambers, which I think are one of the most dangerous things to a society, and we just overall forget how to communicate as human beings. So yes, meet up, have conversations. With that, we are going to draw a close to this because we are almost at an hour and a half. Thank you all who listened this evening. It was greatly appreciated. Thank you all who commented. Please like and share. Like, subscribe, and share. Especially subscribe if you're on YouTube. And again, share and like, because we need to get the word out there, people. And if you want to be a guest with us, with Chris and me, let us know. We'll see about getting you on a stream. All right. Well, with that, we wish you all a blessed evening. God bless, and we will catch you next time.
Bye, guys.